Hello everybody, my name is Grant Roberson. Today I'm going to be talking about cyanide and how it affects our body, things we can find it in our everyday lives, some of the adverse effects that it can cause, and what to do when you are exposed to cyanide. So to begin, what is cyanide? Cyanide is a chemical that if you eat or inhale, it can be very deadly to humans and animals. So there's a few forms. There's hydrogen cyanide, sodium cyanide, and potassium cyanide. I included a picture here, and it shows that the gas form is hydrogen cyanide, but you have your solid form, which is potassium and sodium cyanide. So one may ask, how can you be exposed to cyanide? Cigarette smokers are the major cause. You have certain plants and fruits can contain cyanide, and some textiles are determined to have trace amounts of cyanide, especially back in the 1900s. It's more common. The plants, I added a few common plants that we may see in our day-to-day lives that can contain the cyanide. You have peach trees, apricot trees, cherry trees, plum trees, almond, and elderberry. Okay, so foods that contain it. So you have peach pits, cherry pits, and nectarine pits. The cherry pits is the most potent, so you don't want to eat a lot of these. You can eat a few, you're going to be okay, but when you start to eat a lot, it can be very harmful to your body. So cyanide is not actually in the pits itself. It's actually a compound called amygdalin, which when you eat it, your body converts it to hydrogen cyanide, which it then becomes very bad for you. So this is what the chemical structure looks like. This is amygdalin. So it's not cyanide in the fruit itself, but your body converts it to hydrogen cyanide, and it becomes very deadly in a sense. So reasons for cyanides in the plants use it as a defense mechanism. They want to keep animals away. Plants' goal is to grow and to let their seeds make it to the ground to be able to grow. And if they're getting eaten, they're not going to be able to grow. So they made a defense mechanism using amygdalin, and this turns to cyanide, which keeps the predators away. Okay, so cyanide is actually found in all humans. So in small trace amounts, you can get it by metabolizing certain fruits, or by passing or being around smokers. If you're going to the grocery store and somebody's smoking and you walk past them, you could inhale some of that smoke, and that is where some of the trace amounts can be found. So studies have been done that show around 19% of the concentration in cyanide in the blood is more in smokers than non-smokers. So you'll have, as you can see here, it's greater than 0.5 milligrams per liter of the blood in smokers, whereas it would be less than 0.026. That's where you get that 19% difference in smokers versus non-smokers. All right, moving on to the minimal lethal dose. I added this because it shows that hydrogen cyanide and potassium cyanide, they're very different, but in the sense they are kind of the same. Hydrogen cyanide is more potent, so you only have to take 100 milligrams in order to be killed by hydrogen cyanide, but potassium you can take a little bit more. You can take double the amount to 200 milligrams before it causes lethal effects. So large amounts of cyanides on your body. So when you ingest cyanide, the cyanide actually blocks the enzyme cytochrome, and lactic acid is produced. This affects the electron transport chain, and it causes it to shut down. Without the electron transport chain, you don't have energy, and your body needs energy in order to survive, right? The cyanide also prevents red blood cells from using the oxygen, and your body also needs oxygen in order to survive. So when the oxygen is being prevented from attaching to the red blood cells, your body kind of goes into like a fight or flight scenario, and it increases your heart rate and your blood pressure. You start to breathe more. Your body's pumping your blood through your body, trying to find oxygen so it can support the rest of the body. All this rush of blood to your heart can cause it to become engorged, and this is not good. Eventually it can cause lung damage, it can cause convulsions, respiratory failure, and it can also equal to death. So I added a chart here. It has the immediate and the longer exposure. So some of the immediate symptoms would be headache, vomiting, dizziness, rapid heart rate. Some of the more longer ones would be like unconsciousness. It would cause you to have convulsions. You could eventually go into a coma, and of course you could end up going into death. And the treatments we'll get into later, but this is just saying you need to wash, get help, get fresh air immediately, and it also gives a poison control contact number. All right, so signs of cyanide poisoning. So how do you know if cyanide is the cause of death? What if you come up on a dead body and you don't know what caused it? So some signs that it could be cyanide is if you come up on the body and you begin to smell a bitter almond smell. This is a great sign that cyanide could be the cause. Also, if you see here this very pink skin complexion here compared to his normal skin color here, this is also another main sign of cyanide poisoning. If you can mix that with the almond smell and the pink skin, it's almost a guarantee that it was cyanide poisoning. Some other signs could be like bloody vomit or diarrhea on the body. These aren't necessarily only towards cyanide, but these could be also other signs. So how to detect cyanide? There's a few methods that can be used. One of the not so common is this GC-ECD-HS method. So what it is, it's a gas chromatography and an electron capture detector. So what it does basically, it takes some of the human tissue from the dead body. It can be any tissue from the liver, the spleen, the brain, the stomach. It's very broad. You can take many tissues and you basically vaporize the tissue, and the electron capture detector can then detect whether cyanide is in these tissues. And this method is very good because it, like I said, it can do many tissues all over the body. It can take all kinds of tissues. That's why this one is a great one to use. A very common one that is used is to detect cyanide in food. It's called the CN30 cyanide detector, which I actually added a picture. So what you want to do, you want to take your food, you want to chop it up into very small pieces and add some water to it. You then want to put a single drop on where it says place sample here. You want to place it here, and you want to wait a few minutes. And as you can see, this is before the sample has been added. So there's no blue line here that says cyanide detected. After a few minutes, this blue line will start to appear. This means that there is cyanide in your food, and this is a key factor for many people nowadays to use. It doesn't really cost a lot. It's very cost efficient, and it's easily accessible rather than this other method. Alright, so when you are exposed to cyanide, what do? If you're in a building, you want to immediately leave the building and get as far away from the building as possible. You want fresh air. Your body needs that oxygen, like I said previously. You need more oxygen so your body can use the oxygen and pump it throughout your body. You want to remove your clothes because cyanide could be on your skin. It could be affecting you that way. So you want to take your clothes off. You want to wash your body, try and remove all the cyanide that could be on your skin. You want to contact the police. They want to send an ambulance out there to you to put a gas mask on you so that you can begin to breathe O2. You don't want to touch your clothes because, like I said, there could be cyanide on them. You want to let the professionals put them in a biohazard container. And lastly, you should consult a doctor. You want the ambulance to take you to a doctor and consult any of your symptoms right away. You don't want to blow this off and say, I'm okay. You want to be seen by healthcare professionals you don't want this to cause any serious long-term effects. And these are my references. Thank you.